Mica, the film Jackie is a very interesting kind of biographical drama, and your music plays a big part in that. Talk a little bit first about how you got involved with this project.
I think what happened was that Pablo was on the jury at Venice Film Festival, and Jonathan Glazer's film Under the Skin was in that festival, and he was on the judging panel, and he favoured it, and he really fell for the film. I think he really liked it, yeah, that's how he came across me anyway, and that's why I think he asked me if I would be if I'd be down to do it, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And watching the movie for the first time, what were some of the things that stuck out to you and inspired your music for it?
I didn't see the movie before I started writing music for it.
Oh, wow.
So I guess my inspirations were Jackie Kennedy, the script, and some conversations with Pablo, and the era that it's based in. Not this era, the other era.
Right. So then what were your initial ideas for the score?
Quite a lot of what's ended up in there. So I wrote a lot of music with Jackie Kennedy in mind. Not that I know much, an idea of what I had of her in mind. Mm-hmm. And I tried to write music that I thought was to her taste and appropriate for her, that she would have maybe even liked herself, and yeah.
So did it change much when you actually were watching the film? How did you fit it into the actual film? What was that process like?
So it was a mixture of putting some things on specific scenes, and then the rest of it was actually Pablo and Sebastian, the editor, using the music that I'd sent to cut the film with in replacement of a temp score. Partly because Pablo didn't want to get used to using a temp score and then have to ditch it. Mm-hmm. But actually, in a sense, I think composers sometimes have to deal with a temp score, and it might be hard because they have to incorporate it somehow, which I imagine is quite difficult to do. You'd have to be very, that must be hard.
Mm-hmm. So I wonder if you could just describe for us in a bit more detail, for anybody who hasn't seen the film, what you wrote the music for Jackie Kennedy, and what you thought Jackie Kennedy would, I guess, sound like or listen to. What specifically was that sound for you?
The ensemble, the sound of the actual instruments together was key to that. And then a kind of luxury, there's a kind of like luxury, but yet young and airy thing about it. Am I answering your question?
Yeah. Well, I guess what I'm getting at, there's an expressionistic quality to the music, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's very, and the entire film is like this as well, in the way that it's shot and the way that it's edited. And your music really creates, I don't know how to describe it other than a feeling, a tone, a mood that surrounds, I guess, what's going on in her life at the moment. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. And what are those characters in the music? Yeah, I think the instruments are key, the speed of it probably. The fact that there's not actually that much action in a way. There is dramatic moments, but there's a lot of protocol in the official scenario that she is grieving in. Although some of it is on a grand scale, it's not. It's not full of action and in the way that some films are. So the music's quite, I don't know, it's kind of like laid back, and she is, you know, she is quite high as well. Through all of that. So yeah, maybe there's this sort of dreamlike element there, which you were sort of saying with the, so, you know what I mean?
Well, right, as you point out, there's not a lot of action in the film, so your music is more highlighting her emotional state, her mindset, as opposed to specific actions, you know, underscoring specific actions in the film, if that makes sense.
Exactly, yeah.
So, you know, you did a lot of, it's so kind of different and yet similar to what you did in Under the Skin, you know, where that was a bit more surreal and I guess kind of, does that make sense? I mean, this is a bit of a bit lusher, I suppose.
Yeah, very separate films, really. And the process was totally different. But I guess I don't know. It's hard. That's probably something that, I don't know, I haven't, to me they're kind of different. But then I think that's the sort of thing that someone else is probably more able to recognise than I would be. You probably have a better perspective on that than me, if that makes sense.
Right. Well, in both cases, the music is very dominant throughout the film. You know?
I'm just a nightmare, you know. I basically, I go in there and I put quite threatening stakes up.
But it works very well with.
So far.
You know, but I mean, it does work very well within the film. I mean, in creating this, in both cases, they create a sense of unease, I believe. You know, which is reflective of the characters.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, with Under the Skin, you're dealing with this kind of science fiction storyline, and with this, you're dealing in biography. You know, it's based on a real person.
Sure. Yeah. They are really different. I guess there is certainly a lushness and a richness. Some of the music, though, hopefully, is more easygoing. I feel like some of it's kind of vapid, or not vapid. Well, yeah, maybe vapid and kind of like quite relaxed and lazy and drawn out. Some of it, like the more sweeter tracks, anyway. Some of it is more intense and stoic and stuff like that as well. I guess basically there's maybe two tracks that are pretty like chill.
Well, it's also very different from what you would expect from this type of film. I mean, the entire film is different from what you would expect this type of film to be, a biographical drama.
Yeah.
You know, it felt very much like watching someone go through post-traumatic stress disorder was what watching this film reminded me of. Take us a little bit through your process of writing music. You know, what is that like?
It's pretty great. I just sort of, how do I do it? I just waited until everyone had gone to work. Actually, maybe I didn't. I was on my sofa quite a lot. I've got a good view out of my window. I can see the street. And windows. I think windows are really important, actually, for me. Like a window to look out of. Yeah.
I mean, just I guess seeing the outside world inspires something for you in writing music, or?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think just seeing people move helps the music work for me. Certainly better than looking at a screen. And if there's no one else around to make music with. I think that I just always end up looking out the window and looking at people. Yeah. And when I'm working in a room without a window, yeah, and just know that it's really the one. Yeah.
I wonder if you could talk a bit more about working with Pablo Larraín, what he gave you as a director that helped guide you in the music for this.
He was very free, basically. I was very nervous because I developed really, I don't know, me and John are really good friends, and it was a very intense project and doing Under Skin, and I sort of didn't really change my life up quite a lot, and so I was sort of nervous, but Pablo is pretty easygoing, and I wasn't sure about the process, but yeah, all I had to do was write music, really, and then it wasn't too painful, and he was very encouraging, and he's a big music fan, and he was yeah, pretty generous with the flexibility that he allowed me to have, especially as there was a lot of weight on him for the pressure of the project, and especially as he only had one bit of thing to go on with me. You know, he was very. But I think that's how he worked with everyone on the film. That's at least what I can gather, is that he very much was let people do their thing. You know, which is cool.
Right. I wonder if you could talk a bit about your background and what got you into composing for feature films.
Well, I've been very very charmed, and I've studied music all my life in quite an intense way. I'm from a musical family, and my grandparents. The music's sort of like very important to my family and stuff, and then I don't know. I've always just had music going on, and I didn't especially intend to write for film. I just took up an opportunity, you know, and it worked out in this realm for the second. But I mean, yeah, just kind of done all different sorts of things, really, and it's always quite surprising what happens.
Well, for your work on Under the Skin, you were nominated for a BAFTA award. What did that kind of recognition mean for you?
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, I mean, it was I hadn't ever thought about it before, so I wasn't at all prepared for how to respond to it. You know, if someone says something, usually you have a little bit of life experience in things that go on, so you sort of had no kind of how to feel about it. But I suppose I didn't really know. It was just crazy or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, I was pretty proud and stuff. Yeah.
So what's next for you? You got any upcoming work and films that we have to look forward to?
No, not right now. Yeah, just taking it easy.
Well, I hope that changes, because I'm a fan of your work on these two films. Mica, thank you so much, and congratulations on your work on Jackie. And,
thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for the interview.
Oh, thank you.